Good evening. Today is March the 23rd, 2021. Every year on March 23rd, I think about a very dear friend of mine whom I dearly miss. His name was Carlos Santana. No, I'm not talking about the famous rock musician. I'm talking about a native of the Dominican Republic who, on this day in 1993, was murdered by the state of Texas. Between December 1990 and March of 93, I corresponded with him, and I did have a couple of visits with him at the prison in Huntsville. In his first letter to me, he stated that in response to your curiosity, I am not related to the rock singer Carlos Santana, but like you, I enjoy his music and have great respect for him as a person. And he was a very spiritual person, and he shared a lot with me in the different letters he wrote. And then in December of 92, he wrote and told me March 23rd was his execution date. He closed his first letter, which was around Christmas time, 1990, with the words, "May the peace of our infant Savior be yours, and may the new year bring many graces and blessings." He thanked me for sending him a copy of my article, Abraxas from Ancient Gnosis to Contemporary to 20th Century Waco, which contained a reference to the 1970 album Abraxas by his famous namesake. He urged me not to lose hope of publishing it. Within 2 weeks, the article was published. In April of 91, he wrote me again, wishing me a happy and joy filled Easter and stating my wishes and prayers that the risen Lord fill your heart and soul with his choicest blessings and graces. And it was in December of 91 we had our first face to face meeting when I visited him at Huntsville. We spent more than 2 hours together, laughing and cutting up as if we had known each other all our lives. Then in December 92, his letters took on, or during the entire year 1992, his letters took on a more and more pessimistic tone as unsuccessful appeals by fellow prisoners indicated the loss of many rights by death row inmates. And then in December of 92, he sent me a beautiful Christmas card and a letter of thanks for the book I had given him as a Christmas gift. On Ash Wednesday 93, I received the last letter reporting his execution date. Carlos Santana was born on October 10, 1952, in the Dominican Republic. He spent some time in Puerto Rico, New York, and California before moving to Houston. The death of his mother and the loss of his job as an electrician brought considerable stress in his life. He made the mistake of turning to marijuana as a coping mechanism. This clouded his judgment, and as a result, he was persuaded by a neighbor to become involved in the robbery of an armored car, in which the driver was killed. Carlos did not kill anyone himself and actually restrained his co-defendant from killing the driver's helper. During his 12 years on death row, he mastered English, earned his GED, obtained some college credits, and became a paralegal. He wrote many articles and poems. He developed a very deep spirituality. I ministered to him, but he also ministered to me. Carlos' legal team, headed by former U.S. Attorney General Ramsey Clark, filed numerous appeals. The New York-based Committee to Save the Life of Carlos Santana and the Texas Research Center generated more than 500 letters to Governor Ann Richards requesting clemency. Both the Dominican government, and Mother Teresa pleaded for mercy. All these pleas fell on deaf ears, and Ann Richards refused to see either Ramsey Clark or the Dominican ambassador. In 1990, I was very pleased when Ann Richards was elected governor of Texas. It didn't take me long to become disappointed in her. She had less enthusiasm for the death penalty than other candidates in the race. Nevertheless, she recognized the run for governor of Texas on an anti-death penalty program amounted to political suicide. Before she left office, she carried out 49 executions. She was defeated in November 1994 by George W. Bush. And while there was no way I was going to vote for Bush, when she let Carlos die, she lost my support. And when I went to vote in November of 94, I left, in the governor's race, I left it blank. On March 22nd of 93, I drove to Huntsville to see Carlos, who told me he was hoping for the best yet preparing for the worst. Finally, the guard said, "You have 1 minute left." Carlos placed his hands on his side of the screen, and I placed my hands on mine. I led him in prayer and said, "I love you, brother." He said, "I love you too." At 3:45 a.m., Carlos was pronounced dead. His last words were, "Love is the answer, not hatred." I dedicated my 2006 book, Eliphas Levi and the Kabbalah, the Masonic and French Connection, to the American mystery tradition, uh, to the memory of Carlos, quoting the words of Eliphas Levi's book, The Key of the Mysteries. Every head that falls upon the scaffold may be honored and praised as the head of a martyr. I express hope that the martyrdom of Carlos Santana would serve as an inspiration to all who strive for peace, justice, and liberation. And this book here about Texas death row, here's a picture of my friend Carlos Santana. A mutual friend of ours named Gloria Ruback, who lives in Houston, has participated in a lot of anti-death penalty demonstrations. And I met her at a rally at the state capitol in 1991, and I met her again at a meeting in Fort Worth in 2014. And she's a activist par excellence. She witnessed the execution of our friend. And about 20 years later, she was involved in a demonstration in Huntsville, and the person that she knew died. And she decided to try to get her mind off of it by going to a Texas Ranger game. And they soon announced the first person on the Ranger side that was presented was a baseball player named Carlos Santana. Wow, bringing back memories. Carlos was a wonderful person, and I thank God for Carlos Santana, my friend. He said to those in attendance at the execution, "I hope to see you in the state of heaven." Love is the answer, not hatred. See you someday again, Carlos. God bless.